Hi guys, so welcome to Friday, and you know I like Fridays to be smooth and easy, right? And so that won't stop just because I'm not there today. If you are my virtual student, remember that we are not having a live session today. Go to the slides, and the slides will tell you everything you need to know. I am doing this teacher video to make up for yesterday and to include today. So I'm going to go to my slides to the document that you've been working in, your reading guide, your chapter 3 reading guide. Please do remember that you need to rename that reading guide with your first and last name and your period. I'm going to go to the one that I did the teacher video for earlier for Wednesday. So by now, you should have answered questions 1 through 4 on that first page because all of those questions are for chapter 3. Now, my number 3 question, I had a student to have a question about that one. It begins by saying, Big Ma and Mama note how the Logan children have changed. They actually don't say that to the beginning of chapter 4, but my question still remains the same. I want you to make an inference about why Cassie and her brothers have changed, and you can make that inference using everything that happens at the end of chapter 3. You don't need any evidence from chapter 4 to make that inference, okay? So, those last few pages, when we see the caravan and Cassie relays her feelings step by step and what was happening step by step. So, her feelings plus what happened together will help you make an inference for the number 3 question, okay? And just to recap, remember that you cannot do this particular exercise in present mode. So don't hit the play button up top because I'm working in the gray area. And we're going to have more assignments like this where you have got to get used to navigating in the gray area. So for pages 2 and 3, you should have done this already because I asked you to do this for homework Wednesday night. It's a very short article. See, it's just like a page and a half. All I want you to do is read it and annotate it. We're going to use this same article next week. So if you have done this part, you're going to be ahead of the game because I want us to write a summary for it. You know that our standard RL.7.2, the latter half of it is write an objective summary. You know that we're trying to catch up on our reading and we're still playing catch up next week. So we didn't have time to write a summary this week, but hopefully next week we will. So please make sure you have done pages 2 and 3, okay? And all of this is just a recap. If you need details on how to actually do pages 2 and 3, you need to look at the teacher video from Wednesday. I'm making this video particularly for chapter 4, for page 4 here. So this box in the gray says read and analyze. So this means, so whenever you analyze, if you've been reading your definitions, analyze means to break down, right? So when you're analyzing something, you're really having to think about the smaller pieces and how they work together. You're having to make some inferences. Analyze does not mean read and put your finger on the answer. So if you can put your finger on the answer, that means that the answer to my question or whatever I'm having you to do is explicit. I know that that's a big word. However, that word was in your notes this week. Explicit. So explicit means that it's directly stated. You also had the word implicit. Implicit means that things are not directly stated, that you must make an inference. And so when you analyze, you're working in an implicit area. You're having to read and put things together that you have read, okay? So now remember, it's a teacher video. You don't have to just listen straight through. You can pause it, try to digest, or let the information sink in that I'm giving you. You can rewind so you can hear me say it again. So if you need to go back over that part about explicit and implicit, please do that. So when we read and analyze, we're breaking down what we have read. So we know that we're reading a novel. I know it's a touchy subject, but we are reading a novel that takes place in the 1930s. And although African Americans were no longer enslaved, segregation was just a way of life. Okay, that's just a history. I can't change it, and we can't really avoid it because it's our history, right? So this fictional novel takes place during a very real time when segregation was the norm. Now, what I am asking you to do in chapter 4 is to listen closely and pick up on ways that the Logans and the other African Americans in the town are controlled. Even though they're not enslaved, they're still controlled. And so to help you kind of think about what I'm asking you to do, I give you an example here. And so my example comes from when Miss Logan was going around and trying to rally people to stop shopping at the Wallace store. You think about it. If she wanted them to stop shopping at the Wallace store, it would seem that the best plan of action would be to say, hey, don't shop at the Wallace store. They're not nice people. They have done some very evil things, some mean things to our neighbors, and they've gotten away with it. There's been no justice. Don't shop over there, okay? But Miss Logan never said that. Like, she did not say that. She did not say what the Wallaces had done, even though it was highly widely known that the Wallaces had actually burned Mr. Berry and his nephew, or his nephews. They burned two nephews. So my form of control, one example that I put. Okay, I'm going to have to splice this video together. Note to self, do not let the iPad turn off when you are screen recording. Okay, so back to the example. That's my blooper. So back to the example. So I put African Americans cannot freely discuss the wrongdoing that has happened in their community. Now, that's a form of control because they cannot say what they want to say. And they must be very cautious of who they say things to. And now, for every form of control you put, you must have textual evidence. And so my evidence is when Cassie mom says that, what does she say? She tells Cassie that they did not speak directly on what the Wallaces had done to the Berries, for that was something that wavered between the known and the unknown, and to mention it outright was not wise. And now the quote goes on and she says a few more things, but this alone gives us evidence and support for what I'm saying, because we're not trying to see so what the evidence should do is support your form of control. Like if you say the African Americans could not go wherever they wanted to go as a form of control, your evidence needs to show that African Americans' movement was limited, okay? If you say they couldn't shop where they wanted to shop, if you say they were controlled because they had no money, notice that I'm giving you some hints here. You need to find the evidence for that. And if you read my box over here, you only need 3 forms of control, okay? So now when you have completed pages 1 through 4, you have your annotations here. You've answered your questions at the beginning. Then you have your annotations on page 2, annotations on page 3, and then you have at least 3 forms of control. Now, if you enjoy doing page 4 and you want to put more than 3, that's totally fine. I might think about extra credit or something. We shall see. So once you have fully completed this, you now need to download this as a PDF document to submit it, okay? So to do that, click on the 3 little dots up here, and then click on share and export, and then click send a copy. You want to have PDF selected, so make sure the check mark is beside PDF and not PowerPoint. Make sure the check mark is beside PDF. Click OK. And it's going to tell you it's preparing your PDF. And then you're going to scroll through your app icons and pick the Schoology icon, that white box with the blue circle and the letter S. You know that's Schoology. And once you hit Schoology, it's going to come up and show you assignments that you have available to post to. I don't see those assignments because, of course, I'm not a student, but you will see those assignments. And so you're going to click Submit to Assignment. And now once you do that, you're going to see all of those assignments. And so you will select that assignment, and then there'll be another step and you will just hit submit, okay? So super easy. Just follow my beginning steps and then you will know what to do from there on, okay? So that is it for the teacher video for today.